Hey now, it's your girl T, back again to talk to you guys today about oil pulling. Now, I'm gonna level with you. The first time I heard the term oil pulling, I thought it was like a grease up HJ, but my mind is usually in the gutter, let's be honest. In any event, I mentioned that I oil pull every morning in my morning skincare routine video, and I think in one other, and if you guys were interested in hearing more about it. Before I get into what oil pulling is, just check the description box. I'm gonna leave a couple links there, one to Wellness Mama, which kind of breaks down the history of it a little bit more than I'm going to, and different methods and ways to try it, as well as a link to the video from Hey Friend Hey on YouTube from like 2 years ago, which is actually the video that first introduced me to oil pulling and got me to start doing it. Now, oil pulling is an ancient practice. It's an Ayurvedic practice where you keep oil in your mouth for anywhere from 5 minutes up to 20 minutes. The 15 to 20 minute range is ideal because that's when you can really get the maximum benefits. The main thing that oil pulling purports to do is to help basically suck out germs, bacteria, plaque, and gunk from inside your mouth. The lipid nature of oil is able to bind to germs, and it's able to kind of cleave to the germs so that once you spit out the oil after your 15 or 20 minutes, your mouth is freed of those burdens. I've been doing oil pulling for a little over 2 years now, and I think it's been working really well for me. The main oil I use for oil pulling is coconut. I use cold pressed organic coconut oil. Unlike with my hair where I'm not super particular about the type of coconut oil, I am for this because it's going in my mouth. Because you're using this to detoxify your body on a daily basis, essentially, you want to make sure you select an oil that's high quality and able to be as non-toxic as possible during its own manufacturing process. During the colder months, like right now, coconut oil is no longer liquid. As you can see, my coconut oil has turned solid. I don't particularly like putting solid coconut oil in my mouth every morning, so during colder months of the year, I switched to sesame oil, which is another popular one that people use for oil pulling because this one stays liquid at, pretty much any temperature that it'll be in my apartment anyway, and then I use this in the winter. I don't like it as much, but it gets the job done. Once I'm done oil pulling each day, I always spit my oil into the trash can because I don't want it to get into my pipes and harden things up, and then my landlord sues me or some shit. So I always spit my oil into the trash, and that's pretty much it. After you oil pull, a lot of people will either rinse with salt water or regular water or something like that. So you can play around and see what you like best, and then you go ahead and you brush your teeth as normal. So now that we've talked about what oil pulling is a little bit and what I use to do it, how can you actually get started? Well, for me, I found keeping oil in my mouth for upwards of 15 or 20 minutes extremely challenging at first, and I think that's kind of normal. If you've never done it before, it's hard just to not start drooling all over yourself. So what I did to get started was I worked my way up to 5 minutes, and I would say by day 3 I was able to keep the oil in my mouth for 5 minutes without accidentally swallowing it or just having to spit it out or whatever the case was. And after I was able to do 5 minutes, I added 1 minute every day until I got up to 20 minutes. Ever since then, I've been doing it for 20 minutes a day. It's recommended that you do it in the morning so that 1, you don't have any food in your mouth, and 2, you have an empty stomach. In the beginning, that wasn't super convenient for me because I just wasn't very good about managing my time. So in the beginning, I was doing it in the evenings as part of my getting ready for bed ritual, and it worked just fine for me just to kind of get used to the practice of doing it every day. Eventually, I was able to transition to doing it in the mornings, mostly by working it in with other things I needed to be doing in the mornings. Once I was comfortable with having oil in my mouth for 20 minutes at a clip, I was able to make sure that I was multitasking. As you'll see in my skincare routine video that I mentioned, I'm doing my other things that I need to do to get ready for the day while I'm oil pulling. It's not like you have to sit there and stare at the wall oil pulling. I'll wash dishes, I'll do my skincare routine, I'll sometimes even fit my shower in, I might be doing makeup. Whatever it is I need to do in the morning, I just get out of bed, get that oil in my mouth, and I start my day, and I have a timer going, and once that timer goes off, I spit it out, and I continue the rest of my morning. I was a little bit on and off with the oil pulling at first. I maybe wasn't doing it every single night, but I was probably doing it 4 or 5 times a week. And then once I transitioned to doing it in the mornings, I was probably doing it about as often as that. Then I ended up going to the dentist for normal cleaning, and they were like, "What are you doing to your mouth because you need to keep doing it?" And the only thing I'd been doing differently was the oil pulling. So after that cleaning, that was when I was just like, that's it, I'm doing this every day. The benefits of oil pulling are pretty well detailed in the links I provided below, but just in short, it's meant to help you get rid of germs, bacteria, things like that. It's also supposed to help whiten teeth. Now, I actually have a condition called fluorosis, so I have these weird stains and issues on my teeth. Anyone who's familiar with fluorosis knows what I'm talking about. You can Google it. I grew up in New York, so we have fluoride in our drinking water, and it totally fucked my teeth up, but that's another story. And because of that, I've always been extremely self-conscious about my teeth, and I would say once I was in college and sort of buying my own toiletries and things, I started trying pretty much every whitening toothpaste on the market. Crest, Rembrandt, all of the whitening toothpaste in all of the land. Now, and this is a sidebar, but I also no longer use toothpaste like that either because I don't use fluoride or sulfate, but that's also another video. So long story short, I no longer use any whitening toothpaste at all. I actually use a clay-based toothpaste that has bentonite in it. My teeth have never been whiter than they are right now, and I don't use any whitening products whatsoever. I have to say it has to be the oil pulling along with just the regular daily care that I do for my mouth, because I do floss every single day and I have done that for years and things like that. So I think it had more to do with my practices than products, which is so funny because that's what I always say about hair care. I already have a pretty good immune system, and I think oil pulling has helped me be even better in terms of not getting sick, because I had a phase where I was overweight and I was unhealthy and I was depressed and miserable. This was maybe 2 years ago, right around when I started the oil pulling, and I was getting sick all the time. It was really uncharacteristic. I generally have no colds. Maybe once a year I'll get a cold, but I was getting colds back to back to back. So that was an extra kick in the pants for me to actually try this oil pulling thing. Now that I've been doing oil pulling consistently for over 2 years, I don't think I've gotten sick at all. Now that's an extreme case because, as I said, I kind of have a good immune system normally anyway. Now that I'm a few pounds lighter, I eat clean, I generally take good care of myself, it makes more sense that the oil pulling would help kind of bolster that. But it is pretty amazing that for 2 years I haven't even had a cold, knock on wood. Whenever I do feel a cold coming on, what I'll do is I'll add some oil of oregano. It looks just like this. It comes in a little bottle with a dropper. There's various brands, but this is just the one that I have. It is organic. And oil of oregano is also really great for boosting your immune system and so forth. So what I'll do is I'll add anywhere from 2 to 3 drops of this to my tablespoon of coconut or sesame seed oil for that morning, and just oil pull with that, with the oil of oregano added to it, and it knocks it right out. I actually woke up with a sore throat about 2 weeks ago, and that's always how a cold starts for me. It always starts with a sore throat. And I did my normal oil of oregano, added to my oil pulling, and within 2 days, no symptoms whatsoever. So it's 2 days of like, uh-oh, might be coming down with something. 2 days of oil pulling with the oregano, donezo. So that's just another little tip if you might be susceptible to getting a lot of cold, or maybe if you decide to try this and you feel cold coming on, that'll give it an extra boost, because I think it really works. I mean, it works for me. So in short, that is why I oil pull and why I think it's a great practice. It's probably considered pseudoscience or hippie bullshit by a lot of Western medicine type people, but I don't care because it works for me. At least I believe it does, and I see no downside to giving it a try. I mean, it's relatively inexpensive to do. You only need a tablespoon of oil a day. You want to get a high quality oil, but even high quality coconut oil or sesame oil is very inexpensive. And you really have nothing to lose if you give it a try, because I've seen nothing but positives from doing it. I hope this video was helpful, because I know a few of you guys were asking about oil pulling and how I do it and why I do it and so forth. So I just wanted to kind of devote a video specifically to this to address that. Once again, I'm going to link Hey Friend Hey's video right here for you guys to check out, because that's the video that inspired me to try this. That's how I first really learned about it and decided to give it a go. And I think it's really changed my life for the better. All right, guys, I'll see you in the next video, and thanks for hanging out with me. Bye.
That's a nappy-headed hose there, I'm going to tell you that now.